Howdy there, cowboys and cowgirls. My name's Atlas, and I'm coming at you from the American West with 9 essential tips and tricks for Westland Survival. This is a crafting / resource management / survival game which stands out from others in the genre with its streamlined storage and crafting systems, constant updates, and a general all-around gameplay experience that I've really come to love. If you've just started into your Westland journey, pull up a chair or take a seat on the rug. Grandpappy Atlas is going to dispense some wisdom. Especially early on, level ups will be coming in hard and fast. Each level up will give you a point you can put into your damage, attack speed, defense, or spirit stats. It's highly recommended to put every stat straight into Spirit. Spirit makes animals passive to you, and you can even tame them to aid you in fighting, provided you have enough points. There are many practical uses for this that I will cover more in depth in other videos, but in general it makes farming significantly easier by not having to fight every lynx or wolf you come across. Don't stress if you put a couple of points into other stats. If you have put too many into other skills, all you need to reset your skill points is to go to Silverton and buy a Tome of Retraining from Gustav for 200 silver. It may seem a steep price early on, but it's well worth having a solid build. In the early game, a ton of content will be thrown at you all at once. There are energy costs for farming, items to buy in stores, gambling. Don't spend silver on any of it. Silver is an essential resource in this game, and it becomes more abundant as you continue onward. But if you spend it early, you will wish that you hadn't. I'll cover what to buy with your hard-earned silver in future videos, but all that you should be doing with your silver for your first 50 to 80 player levels is hoarding it like a dragon. Similar to the prior tip, this game will almost constantly be asking for your hard-earned IRL cash in return for resources, progression, or even shiny new weapons and armor. I don't recommend buying any of it. At the end of the day, you get to decide whether or how much you want to spend on Westland Survival, but let me tell you that this game is extremely free-to-play friendly. There is very little the game will offer you, especially early on, that you cannot grind out yourself with a little bit of effort. In the early game, it's also almost a trap. You will progress very quickly early on, so if you end up purchasing any Tier 1 or Tier 2 items, they will become quickly obsolete. On that note, each new account gets access to 2 very important one-time offers. The first is a hero pack that is extremely cheap and quite useful, but the gear offered improves as your player character levels up, and the price remains the same. It's recommended to wait until it's offering you Tier 5 gear, sometime about when you're in Tier 4 yourself to actually buy it. The second offer is 1 month of half-off VIP. If you want to buy it, hold out until you have about 4,000 to 6,000 silver saved up. That's a surprise tool that can help us later! This is a game that you can pretty much play as much or as little as you like. If you run out of energy, you can walk to where you want to go. Later on, you'll get access to horses that will dramatically improve your travel and resource farming opportunities. If you want to be a casual player, I recommend checking in at least once per day to do things like collect your ranch's crops and do the daily spawned event. There are 4 daily events that spawn randomly, and only when you have 50 or less energy. Each of the 4 offers normal loot and 1 or more special resources only available in that event. The 4 events are, in order of general usefulness, Shootout Spot, Old Road, Emergency Stop, and Train Attack. Each event takes less than 5 minutes to complete on average, and the special resources they provide are all essential in their own way, so you'll want to take full advantage of running them daily. Except Train Attack. Feel free to skip that one. If you don't have time to do the daily events when it spawns, or you want to skip the one that spawns after 3 hours, if your energy is at 50 or below, the game will roll a new daily event to give you. After you enter a daily event, it is too late to decide to skip it. Along with the daily event spawn, each day you will have access to 2 to 3 bounties from the bounty board which you build on your ranch. These daily bounties can sometimes be tricky, but they represent your consistent silver income and often can offer some rather juicy loot to help you along. Each task is timed, so I recommend accepting and completing one at a time unless you can do multiple in one fell swoop. Check out the locations for Canyon Trials and Spirit Cave. These 2 locations reset every 48 hours, and both may be given to you as tasks from the bounty board. Since the bounty rewards for them are extremely meager, it's recommended to keep them on cooldown as much as possible to avoid getting them as bounties. Canyon Trials is especially useful since it rewards you with jewelry to improve your stats. You'll mainly want rings that give you spirit points, sugar cubes to feed your horses, and best of all, silver. Get into the habit of learning the CT waves and what you need to beat them. That silver income is no joke. As for the Spirit Cave, early on it's not very much of a hassle, but many players feel that the rewards are not sufficient for the time and resources it takes to run it consistently. If you don't feel like running when it resets, just go in and begin the trial, then tap the X on your screen to end it immediately. Pets are currently the longest grind in the game, and provide for a ton of utility at all stages of the game. If you put off starting to work on them, you will regret it. There are 5 main species you can lure in-game: wolves, lynxes, alpha wolves, pumas, and bears. There are also coyotes, boars, and alligators, but you can ignore those for now. You'll need to complete a short quest series in order to unlock pets and the bait workbench, so when the game starts talking about the naturalists, jump on that quest line as soon as possible. You'll also want to upgrade your pet house to level 2 as soon as possible, so the Old Road daily event is your friend. The naturalist quests will ask you to engage in some shenanigans, then breed and bait your choice of wolves or lynxes. Wolves and alpha wolves are largely useless as pets, so I recommend lynxes. Each animal has a fertility stat, which represents how many times that animal can be bred, which in turn represents the number of baits you don't need to craft at the bait workbench, so breeding is your best friend when it comes to pets. Baits take a long time to craft, and I mean a long time. Your basic lynx baits each take a full day to craft, and that time multiplies as you unlock higher tier baits. Keep that workbench running 24/7 and try to breed your pets as often as you can. To make space for new animals in your pet house, and to progress the research on improved baits, you'll want to transfer unwanted animals to the guy at the naturalist camp. Each pet you give him is worth a set number of points that go toward unlocking your next bait. Once you finish unlocking tier 3 lynx baits, the quest will have you do a few more shenanigans, and then you'll unlock the baits for alpha wolves, pumas, and bears. At that point, you can pick to switch species if you like. The community is split on whether bears or pumas are the best pick. Lynxes are a decent option too, if that's what you prefer. You'll want to commit to one line and take it all the way up, ideally to tier 6, before moving on to other species. But, as the tip suggests, it's easy to make sure that your bait workbench is always running, and you'll later regret not starting on pets sooner if you put them off early. This one's for the folks who like to engage with community when they game. The folks over here on the Westland Survival Discord server are top-notch. Link in the description. There are all sorts of information resources to access for newer players with questions, and the community is very quick to answer any questions asked in the general chat. If you're inclined to join our community, you won't be disappointed. Also, the in-game chat feature is underwhelming. That might be a bit generous. At the end of the day, this is a game. It's a ton of fun, and there's a wagon load of content for you to enjoy. Despite being a survival game, it's not as punishing as other games that require you to micromanage hunger and thirst bars, etc. Dying in Westland Survival is also not nearly as punishing as in other games, where you drop all your gear in a death pile, or it's simply deleted. If you die in Westland Survival, items you are wearing or are in your inventory take a 20% durability penalty and may break if they're low, but you'll keep all your loot and gear and respawn back at your ranch ready for another go. Breaking your backpack really does suck though, so I still don't endorse it. It's just not as punishing as other games. This is a game of many possibilities. It's got an engaging gameplay loop, intuitive UI, and an opportunity to collaborate with other players and alliances after level 50. Dip your toes in the water, give it a go, and I believe you'll come to enjoy this game just as much as I do. One last thing. Miss Cora Pearl is a fine, upstanding member of our community. She's a nice barmaid and nothing more. I won't be hearing no slanders or whisperings regarding her any other alleged occupations.